At a time, as I mentioned earlier, when immigrants are afraid, they need a mayor who's going to stand up for them, regardless of their immigration status. Um,
Is that right? This one's gonna kind of cause your brain to go on meltdown when you hear what she has to say about immigration. We gotta break it down. What is up, gang? It is I, Carlton Flowers, back again, your host of the Go Political channel. And in this series of videos, we are breaking down the interesting information spoken by New York Attorney General Laticia James. This is the third video of the series, and we're just going to cover just a few minutes of the interview for this video, because I need to know from you if you have the same reaction that I do on some of the things that you're about to hear her say. Because when you go back and listen to this again and dial it down, it just really makes you start scratching your head. So let's just jump in and out of this and react and make a few points. Here we go. Take it away, Big Tish.
at a time, as I mentioned earlier, when immigrants are afraid, they need a mayor who's going to stand up for them, regardless of their immigration status. And it's important.
I can't even get beyond that point. So she wants a mayor that will stand up for immigrants regardless of their immigration status. So when you break the rules and you come here illegally, the mayor should stand up for you. And where do you call that out in the law? In a little bit, I'm going to tell you about my son's best friends and the trouble they had to go through to get here illegally and how long it took and how much money they spent. But let's just kind of go on here and hear what Big Tish thinks about illegal immigrants. Go ahead, Big Tish.
That we push back against a federal government, which is weaponizing DOJ.
Weaponizing DOJ? So the Department of Justice should be responsible for controlling the influx of illegals flooding into the country without regard to the rule of law. There's a certain group of people that love to use that phrase, rule of law. So we have these rules about what you're supposed to do if you want to come into the United States. And those rules are set in place to protect us, right? Yeah, to keep us safe. So why is it that if the DOJ is doing the job that they're supposed to be paid to do, that's weaponizing? That's another term that a certain group of people likes to use for anything that happens that they don't like. If anyone is in law enforcement or in the Justice Department or in the legislative or executive branch and they make any decisions that they don't like, well, then it's weaponizing. Okay, go ahead, Big Tish. I'll let you finish.
And using the law, to harm individuals who basically want the same thing that you and I want.
Using the law to harm individuals. Okay, so the law says that if you want to come here, you go through a port of entry and you apply. That's the law. So we made that law to harm them, or was it to protect us? All right, go ahead. Continue.
A lot of the immigrants who came to this country seeking asylum came here because they were afraid of prosecution in their home country.
Oh, really? Really now? So you're telling me that the 20 to 30 million that flooded in the last 4 years, thanks to the open border policy, that was all political asylum. They were fleeing because of bad dictators out there, right? All of them was just asylum. I have a hard time believing that, but I'll let you continue.
A lot of them came because of political reasons in their home country. A lot of them came because they're...
And you know that exactly how. Did you ask all of them, Big Tish? Did you ask them? Did you do a survey? Did you do a survey? How do you know if you just let them all come in mass and then you claim that we're not supposed to question them at all? We're not supposed to allow any law enforcement to say anything to them, but you know how they came here when they didn't fill out a single form at all, but you know why they came here. Okay, well, let's continue on.
Their home country was in the midst of a war. A lot of them came because they were being persecuted.
Their home country was in the midst of a war. Is there a war going on in Mexico? Well, as far as I know, the only war going on is the war of the gangs. But I'll let you finish.
Because of gender ideology. And you need...
Are you serious? Did you really just say that? All right, so let me get this straight. 20 to 30 million, and a significant amount of them came because of gender ideology. You're serious. So we get millions of people coming here because the folks in their country won't call them they, them, or z, them, and all that good stuff because they can't get their pronouns straight. So they had to leave the country and come to the United States. Right. Okay, let's continue.
Someone to push back and to defend the rule of law and to push back against honing.
Push back and defend what rule of law? So there you go. She just said it. Rule of law. So the laws state how you get into this country legally. My son, my great son, who's at the University of Missouri, his two best friends, the parents of one came here from India, and it has taken them over 10 years to get naturalized. They spent tens of thousands of dollars, and 2 or 3 times just in the last 4 years while they were in high school, they had to go back to India for a time period before they could come and re-enter because they were abiding by the rules, the laws, rule of law, Big Tish. Now, the other friend, his parents came in from Guatemala, and he was born in Nebraska. So he is a citizen, and the parents, it's taken them over 10 years. The parents and his aunts and uncles have spent tens of thousands of dollars on attorneys and having to go back to their home country several times during that time period because they were abiding by the rules. Okay? That's what rule of law is, and people obeying rule of law, not flooding the country with 20 to 30 million people. So tell me this. Why is it that my son's best friends' families have spent all this money and gone through all this trouble if all they had to do was use the CBP One app and just come on over and get free food, free room and board, get a driver's license without passing a test, and just have it handed to them? What's the deal? Why are there so many people that are still paying attorneys trying to do this the right way? So I'll let you keep talking here.
And this administration's attempts to separate families and to deport individuals in the...
I'm not giving you that one. Separate families. So see, there she goes again. So I guess you come over here and drop a baby on purpose because you know that baby gets the birthright citizenship, and I will be doing a video on that because they stole that whole deal from the black community. It wasn't intended for you. You don't get that for free. And then when we tell the parents, you got to go. Well, we're separating families if we don't keep the children here? Is that what it is? Very interesting. How convenient is that? I'll let you finish.
Middle of the night, I call it kidnapping without due process.
Oh, good God. There you go. Kidnapping without due process. Here's the $1 million question, Big Tish. Where was the due process when they brought the 20, 30 million people in here? Why is it that you ignore due process when they're coming in, but all of a sudden when they get kidnapped in the middle of the night, due process? So my son's best friend's families were going through due process, and it's taken over 10 years. 10 years to abide by the rules. But you don't think about that when they opened up the border. Where was the due process for us, the taxpayers who had to pay for all the free meals, transportation, jobs, driver's licenses, room and board, medical care, gender affirming care? Where was our due process? Did we get due process in the decisions that were made to spend our money? Let's let her yammer on some more, then I'm going to end this.
Process, as you know, Chris, is foundational to our Constitution and to our way of life. And it's unfortunate that the mayor of the city of New York is compromised. And that's why what we need is an independent leader.
I got to stop right there. So she just said that Eric Adams is compromised. Really now? He's compromised? Because he's not doing things your way? Because he is enforcing the rule of law related to immigration policy? But he's compromised. I think we know who's compromised. I think we know. And it ain't Eric Adams. I think it is you, Big Tish. And sadly, after they compromised you, like I said in the last video, and if you didn't see it, you need to watch it right now. Go back to the last video. You've been compromised, Big Tish. In fact, you have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, just like Tiffany Henyard said. Because they're going to chew you up and spit you out and leave you hung out to dry. They're not going to stand up for you when you get hauled in for court for those little issues you got with your real estate problems, Big Tish. Well, anyway, let me know what you think. Post in the comments below. I want to know your thoughts about what she had to say regarding illegal immigration and why does it seem that they ignore rule of law when they're flooding in, but then they scream rule of law when it's time to usher them back out? And also post it in the comments. Let me know, is it fair that people like my son's best friends' families have to take years upon years and spend tens of thousands of dollars to abide by the rule of law, that same rule of law she speaks about, while 20 million other people got to just run over the border and got paid to do it? Let me know. I'd love to hear your comments. Post it. That's all I got for this one. There will be many more because there's about 10 other crazy statements that she made in this interview that I've got to cover. But that's all for this one. This is Carlton, and I am out.